Imagine traveling miles to see your own son's proudest day, only to be told you don't belong here. That's exactly what happened when a black Marine father stepped into a high school gym, dressed in his best uniform, ready to watch his son graduate. But what followed left the entire room frozen in silence. Marcus Johnson, a decorated Marine, had served 18 years for his country. He had scars on his arms, medals on his chest, and pride in his heart. But that day, none of it seemed to matter. The school gym was packed. Families clapped and cheered as students prepared to walk the stage. Marcus stood tall, shoulders back, chest full of pride. His son Daniel was at the top of his class, valedictorian. This was their moment, but just as Marcus walked toward the seating area reserved for parents, 2 security guards stepped in front of him. "Excuse me, sir," one said sternly. Marcus gave a polite smile. "Yes, this section is for parents of graduates only. You'll need to move." Marcus raised an eyebrow, confused. "I am a parent. My son is Daniel Johnson. He's graduating today." The guards exchanged a look. One leaned closer, whispering sharply, "Look, don't make a scene. We've had issues before. Please step aside." Marcus's chest tightened. "Issues? What kind of issues?" The guard hesitated, then spoke coldly. "You're not on the list." Gasps came from the nearby crowd. Marcus's heart sank. He had RSVP'd weeks ago. His name should have been there, but before he could argue, the guard's voice grew sharper. "Sir, if you don't leave now, we'll have to escort you out." Marcus stood frozen. Parents glanced over, whispering. Some looked at him with pity. Others looked at him like he was a problem. His hands clenched into fists, but his Marine discipline kept him calm. He didn't want to ruin Daniel's day. Still, the sting of humiliation burned deep. As he turned, something caught his eye. 6 men standing near the entrance. They weren't dressed like anyone else. Their posture was too sharp, their movements too precise. Marcus recognized it instantly. Navy SEALs. And they were watching. The announcer's voice boomed through the gym. "Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The graduation ceremony is about to begin." But Marcus wasn't sitting. He was being pushed toward the exit. And the 6 SEALs? They began moving forward. The crowd fell silent. 2 guards froze mid-step, and 6 Navy SEALs, trained warriors of the highest order, were now staring them down. What could possibly happen next? The lead SEAL stepped closer. His voice was calm, but his tone carried authority that demanded respect. "Do you know who this man is?" he asked the guards. One of the guards stammered. "He said he was a parent, but his name isn't—" The SEAL cut him off. "This is Sergeant Marcus Johnson, United States Marine Corps. He has served this country longer than you've probably been alive. And you're asking him to leave his son's graduation?" The entire gym went still. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "Marine? Is this real?" Why would they stop him? Marcus stood stunned. He hadn't expected anyone to step in. The second guard tried to push back. "Look, sir, we're just following the list. If his name isn't there—" Another SEAL interrupted, stepping so close that the guard backed away. "Then the list is wrong." Marcus's son, Daniel, peeked out from behind the stage curtain. He saw the commotion, his heart pounding. His dad, his hero, was being humiliated. Daniel's jaw tightened. He wanted to run out there, but it wasn't his time yet. The principal rushed over, clearly nervous. "What's going on here? This is a graduation, not a—" The lead SEAL turned to him. "Principal, with all due respect, you're about to deny a father the right to see his son walk that stage. Do you really want that on your record?" The principal swallowed hard. The crowd was watching. Cameras were out. Every move mattered now. Finally, the principal nodded weakly. "Of course. Mr. Johnson, please take a seat." There must have been a mistake. Marcus locked eyes with the SEAL who had defended him. He gave a small nod of gratitude. The SEAL responded with a nod of his own, then returned to stand with his brothers. But Marcus couldn't shake the question. Why were 6 SEALs here? The ceremony began. Students walked across the stage, applause filling the room. But Marcus sat uneasy. Something wasn't right. Halfway through, Daniel's name was called. "Valedictorian Daniel Johnson." Cheers erupted. Marcus clapped so hard his palms stung. His eyes watered as Daniel walked proudly across the stage. But then, another sound pierced the air. The gym doors slammed open. Everyone turned. And in walked a man Marcus never thought he'd see again. The moment the doors swung open, the atmosphere shifted. Laughter died. Cheers faded. All eyes locked on the man entering, a shadow from Marcus's past. It was Colonel Richard Kane, retired but still carrying the arrogance of power. Years ago, he had been Marcus's commanding officer, and the two had clashed bitterly. Marcus's gut tightened. "Why is he here?" Kane's eyes scanned the room until they landed on Marcus. A cruel smile spread across his face. Well, Sergeant Johnson?" He sneered loudly, loud enough for others to hear. "Still pretending to be a hero?" Gasps echoed. People looked between Marcus and Kane, unsure of what was unfolding. Marcus stayed seated, jaw clenched. He didn't want to cause a scene. Not today, but Kane wasn't done. He stepped forward. "Ladies and gentlemen, you should know. This man isn't who you think he is." He caused the death of men under his command, men who didn't come home. The words hit like daggers. The crowd murmured. Doubt filled the air. Marcus's fists shook. Memories of that mission flooded back, the explosion, the chaos, the orders Kane had given, and then blamed Marcus for. Daniel froze on stage, gripping his diploma, eyes wide with fear and confusion. His father's honor was being dragged through the mud in front of everyone. The SEALs stood, muscles tense. One whispered, "Not today." "He's not getting away with this," Kane smirked. "And now he wants sympathy? Sitting here in uniform like he's some kind of savior." Marcus finally stood. His voice thundered. "Enough!" The room went silent again. Marcus stared Kane down. "You know the truth." "And so do I." Kane's smirk faded. But before he could respond, one of the SEALs stepped forward, holding up a folder. "Actually," the SEAL said, his voice calm but firm, "we all know the truth." He opened the folder. Inside were classified documents, and what they revealed would change everything. The air crackled with tension. For years, Marcus had lived under Kane's shadow, blamed for a tragedy that wasn't his fault. But now, the truth was about to come out. The SEAL's words rang through the gym. Responsibility, Colonel Richard Kane. Gasps, whispers, phones recording every second. Kane's face turned pale. "That's classified," he shouted. "You can't," the SEAL cut him off. "It was declassified last week. The world deserves to know the truth." Marcus stood frozen, his chest heavy with emotion. For nearly 2 decades, he had carried guilt that wasn't his to bear. And now, in front of his son, his name was finally cleared. Daniel rushed off the stage, running into his father's arms. "Dad, I knew it wasn't your fault." Tears blurred Marcus's vision. "Thank you, son." But Kane wasn't finished. His pride wouldn't let him lose. He lunged forward, grabbing the folder, trying to rip it away. Chaos erupted. Guards scrambled. Parents screamed, but the SEALs moved faster. Within seconds, Kane was restrained. His face red with rage, he spat venom. "This isn't over! You'll regret this, Johnson." Marcus stood tall, staring him down. "No, Kane, you will." The principal, trembling, grabbed the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We will continue shortly." But the damage was done. The truth was out. Kane was escorted away, humiliated. The ceremony resumed, but the atmosphere had changed. Marcus wasn't just another parent anymore. He was a man who had fought battles on and off the field, and finally won. But as the final speech began, one of the SEALs leaned close to Marcus. His whisper sent chills down his spine. "This isn't the end. Kane has powerful friends. Watch your back." A father's greatest fear isn't losing his own life, it's losing his child. And when Marcus saw that message, he knew the fight wasn't over. It had just begun. Marcus showed the SEALs the message. Their expressions hardened. "This is a threat," one said. "And it's not idle. Kane has allies," Daniel overheard. His face went pale. "Dad, what do we do?" Marcus pulled him close. "We protect our family. Always." The SEALs formed a protective circle. They weren't just defending Marcus now. They were defending his son. That night, Marcus barely slept. Every creak of the house, every shadow outside the window kept him on edge. But by morning, he made a choice. He wasn't going to hide. He was going to stand tall like he always had. The SEALs agreed to stay close. They knew Kane's network, and they weren't about to let him strike. Days passed. The threats continued, but Marcus refused to back down. Instead, he used his pain as power. speaking out at schools, at veteran events, telling his story. He became a voice for truth and justice. And one day, standing beside his son, he received news. Cain had been arrested on federal charges. His corruption, his lies, his crimes, finally exposed. The weight lifted from Marcus's shoulders. He hugged Daniel tightly. "Son, no matter what the world says, never stop fighting for the truth." Daniel smiled through tears. "I won't, Dad, I promise." This story isn't just about a Marine or a graduation. It's about dignity, about how truth always finds a way to rise, even when lies try to bury it. Marcus Johnson taught us that real strength isn't medals or uniforms. It's standing tall when the world tries to push you down. And for every father, every son, every family, this story reminds us, never give up, never stay silent, and never let anyone take away what you've earned.